So, dark days, as you know, are now in the state of Israel. I will say that Thursday night, when the Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit read the whole list of indictments against Benjamin Netanyahu, nothing, by the way, that he said there was new to any of us. We were just shocked that everything that came to light and all the problems and all the issues and all the illegal process that was a part of this investigation, we were shocked that it was completely overlooked, and what they wanted from day one is what they actually did and say just a couple days ago. In other words, there was a very clear target to indict Netanyahu. They could care less about how to do it, and they did it. That's it. And let me walk you through all of that in just a few seconds. But I want to tell you something. As an Israeli, I'm a very proud Israeli. You probably know that. I must confess that in light of all the things that are happening all around us in Syria and in Lebanon, in Iraq and in Iran, even in Egypt and in Jordan, I always admired our country. You know, we're a stable democracy, thriving democracy. Things work here, unlike other places around us. We are very unique and different. This is what I had in mind for the longest time. I didn't think that it's about us. I always gave the credit to God, and I always believed that it's Him and not us. But yet I thought we are different. And in the last 10 years of my life, I've enjoyed seeing my country thriving and becoming literally a country that cannot be ignored by any nation on planet Earth. I also enjoyed seeing prophecy coming to pass when it comes to the prosperity of Israel, but also when I realized that there is a Russian invasion into Syria and a Turkish invasion, an Iranian invasion. All these things, of course, made me understand that we are on the verge of the famous Ezekiel war. And I always pushed aside the internal conflicts and the internal issues within the country. I thought every country has its own, divisions and, political rivalry between sides. And I never thought for a second that the day will come when a group of not politicians, but lawyers, basically, will basically replace the people, and they will decide who the prime minister is going to be, and they will decide how to remove a prime minister, and they will decide whether he's going to even be allowed to run again. I never thought I'll see that day, but silly me. I should have known. I should have seen that coming. I'm watching it happening in America. I've been watching it happening in places in Europe and other places. Wherever there is a conservative, wherever there is someone who is standing on the way of the globalist to fulfill their agenda, there is an ongoing attempt to remove him. I mean, we're watching it happening in so many places, and especially in the United States. There's an amazing parallels between what is going on in the United States right now and in Israel right now. But I want to tell you folks that I was amazed at the corrupt media's collaboration with the judicial system and the law enforcement. Now, I've been, for the longest time, talking about the deep state in the United States, in the secret services there, in the military ranks over there, and of course, the State Department is completely infected by the one world government and the globalist agenda. But it has been so for the longest time. again, I was so busy looking at other countries that I failed to see that happening in my own. And this is why the crisis was so deep in, I mean, literally, Thursday evening I came back home and I sat outside quietly for almost an hour. My wife was looking for me and she found me sitting outside. I don't think I ever had that, situation where I'm sitting outside, staring in the skies and trying to understand, is this my country, or is it what I think, that my country was just stolen from me by powerful elements that are everything that is not me and my agenda and my way of life and my thinking. Now let me take you back, all the way back to a couple of years ago when they've been trying to bring Netanyahu down forever because he is exactly what the globalists don't like. Netanyahu, from the moment he stood up against the Iran deal and against the attempts of the previous American administration to isolate Israel and to force Israel to give up more lands and, of course, give more and more stuff to the Palestinians, there was an attempt of the Israeli media to bring down the prime minister. But you know what? The media is the media. I call them the Medianites. I was never alarmed by it because it's almost all over the world. I see it in the Philippines. I see it in in America. I see it all across Europe. The media is always liberal, progressive agenda, and they are always, unfortunately, even on the non-biblical values other than conservative ones. So I was not surprised about the media. But then slowly, we started seeing an attempt of the judicial system, of the attorney general and the prosecutors in his office, to try and find Netanyahu in so many different areas. It started with case number 1,000, case number 2,000, case number 3,000, case number 4,000. It's almost like it became a joke in Israel. How many cases, how many things, how long will you continue to persecute the man and to find something wrong with it? By the way, there's fireworks outside, and I hope people are not afraid here. But this is what happens here in Tiberias at the end of Shabbat, and there's different activities over there. But I do want you to know that eventually they found 3 cases where they can prosecute Netanyahu, and they indeed indict him for those 3. One, and listen carefully, a man that receives a salary that is lower than mine, a man that for the last 10 years is not even sleeping one full night because of all the things that are going on. He receives phone calls and he receives notifications on events and alerts of stuff. A man that was standing alone against the Iran deal that was led by the Europeans, the UN, the Russians, the Chinese, and of course the American president. A man that stood by the side of President Trump even throughout his campaign when everybody thought it is the most stupid things to do. And a man that flew all the way to America and stood in the United States Congress and against the administration spoke there against, of course, the Iran deal. Folks, listen. This man could have been a multi-billionaire if he wanted, if he only stepped down years ago and started giving lectures all around the world. He's admired all over the world, yet he is taking low salary. He is committing his all of these days. There is, if you know what the prime minister in Israel go through, you wouldn't imagine that anyone even wants to do that. And so, what are the indictments? Let me tell you. First, he received from his friend champagne and cigars. Now, wait a minute. He didn't give anything back to that friend. It was just gifts, the gifts that, I don't mind that my prime minister will take time and just relax the way he wants to. He didn't steal the money. He didn't take it from anyone else, but actually from a friend. That friend could have said no, but chose to say yes. He didn't receive anything in return. The Israeli prosecutors believe that it's too much champagne and too many cigars. Therefore, it's basically wrong not to report that, and therefore it is breach of trust and fraud. Champagne, cigars. I can't believe I'm even saying that. The second thing is that he met with a publisher of the largest newspaper in Israel, which, by the way, prime ministers and ministers of the press do that regularly. And there was exchange of views there about things, and Netanyahu asked them, look, you guys are after me all the time. How about reducing it from 90 to 70%? And the third one is that there was an online news outlet that its owners somehow managed to become public, made a lot of money from it, and in return, Netanyahu received positive coverage in that news outlet. Netanyahu did not give him anything. The going public was approved by, and all the deal was approved by every regulator, every committee, every office possible. So Netanyahu was irrelevant here. Second, again, even here, it wasn't that Netanyahu was receiving any praises, but he was receiving less poison. That's all. Listen, it is unprecedented that a politician will be prosecuted for bribery. For what? For having an outlet writing on him something positive, and especially when he didn't give them anything back. Listen to me. It's beyond ridiculous. But beyond that, what bothered me more than anything is the fact that everything that is being done in a timetable unlike any other case in the history of Israel. They literally made clear that they're not going to allow him to become prime minister again, and all of their decisions were 10 times faster than in any other case before. From the moment he was invited to give a hearing to the indictment, a month and a half, where the quickest it was ever was 10 months. We can see here that even the way they took some of Netanyahu's friends and made them state witnesses. In other words, they gave them some sort of deal. You talk about Netanyahu and we will not prosecute you. But how did they do that? They basically extorted them. We know now. We know that there was a concentrated effort in the Israeli prosecution to remove Netanyahu no matter what, at all cost. And this is where I'm afraid we lost the status of a democracy. Democracy is when the people vote for a prime minister. Democracy is when the people remove prime minister. Democracy is when allegations like that are published, but the people are the ones that are either voting or not voting. Now, what alarms me even more is the fact that now the judicial system in Israel, and that's against the basic laws of the state of Israel, the state laws, which are the highest of all, the prosecution wants to bring about a resolution that will deny him the right to even run again. Now, by the way, all over the world, until you are proved guilty, you are innocent. Everybody's innocent. They can indict him with whatever they want. I've seen so many politicians that were indicted, and yet they were non-guilty. They were innocent at the end. So Netanyahu, but what they want him is to be removed from office. In fact, one of the prosecutors said, if Netanyahu will win again, then there will be bribery on the table. If he will step down, we might not even bribery to the table. Hello? אני לא יכול לדבר, אני באמצע שידור עכשיו. Sorry. So we are right now in a situation where not only that they indict him for petty things, but they also want to take the right from him to run forward. Now, why do I think that Netanyahu is probably no longer going to be a prime minister? Because what they did is they caused the Israeli public to say, well, I'm not sure if he's innocent or guilty. Maybe he is innocent. But at this moment, we want some stability. We want some sanity. So maybe he better step down and mind his business to clear his name. Look, even my own, inner circles, the people are telling me, why can't he just step down? Well, that's exactly what they want. They want him to step down, mind his business, while they take over the prime minister office and complete their revolution. This is what I call political assassination. This is what I call a coup. And this is what I call the last days of the Israeli democracy. Let me tell you that Hamas just released a statement where they're saying that they're very encouraged with the indictment against Netanyahu. So are the Iranians. I'm thinking to myself, if Hamas is encouraged and if the Iranians are happy, shouldn't we be concerned that we're doing something wrong? Another thing I want you to know is that I am watching a growing attempt here in Israel to completely abandon the conservative line and to bring about the liberal agenda to the table. Now, I want you to understand that the tactic is very similar to what is going on with President Trump right now. People don't understand that, but I believe that even the Democrats know that there is no impeachment, there's no impeachable accusations over there. I think that they all know that it's a joke. But look what they do. For weeks now, they're going to show the Americans how bad the president is, how corrupt the president is, how much of a liar the president is, how much of a chaos the country is in. Although it's all lies and deception, what happened is, although they probably know there is no way he can be impeached, they're banking on his loss in the coming elections. This is exactly what they do. They throw mud and more and more and more non-stop with the hope that something will stick eventually. And all they want is to cause the American people to think, don't you want someone more stable, someone more, so things will be more normal again? Don't you want someone who is less dramatic? They're basically telling the American people, don't you want to go back to the days things were calm and relaxed? I want to tell you, the tactic is similar to what is going on here. I don't believe Netanyahu is guilty. I don't believe he will be sitting in jail or be found guilty. But I do believe that what they do now is using his situation right now to leverage everyone around to take advantage of him being weak and to propose other options as long as he is not going to be the next prime minister of Israel. Now, Netanyahu has literally 3 to 4 options. The first option is not to give up, to move on. He is still the prime minister in this interim government. There is a deadlock in the Israeli political system right now. After 2 elections, the people of Israel still are undecided. It's almost even. The undecided votes right now are definitely going to be affected by these allegations and the indictment. From what we see, there is a good chance that we're going to go for a 3rd round of election. And Netanyahu says, look, guys, I'm not going anywhere. Only the court can find me guilty, not anyone else. And I will accept anything that the court says. But until then, I'm innocent. But that's what he says. But what we see already happening is within his own party, people are calling for new primaries. Now, they just had primaries a few months ago for the 2nd round of elections. Now they will have another one, and you can see that people are smelling blood, and people want to say, hey, he might not be winning because of what's going on. I want to have my chance right now. So the first problem is from within. The second problem could be from the outside. The prosecutor, as well as the Supreme Court, they might say you're not allowed to run, which, by the way, is illegal, but they can bend the law as much as they want. They've been doing that for the longest time in his cases. And the third one is that somehow Netanyahu will step down and go and do what he wants to do to resolve his situation. No matter what, it is going to make Israel weaker and vulnerable. If our enemies are happy right now, and if our enemies are rejoicing right now, it's because they smell blood as well. Netanyahu had a great moment just a week ago when he was with his hand in the upper part in the latest round with Gaza, and when we made sure that those terrorists got what they deserved, and he enjoyed a great amount of support. And then, of course, came the failure of Benny Gantz to form a government, but they didn't let us rejoice too long. And a day after, they released the indictment, so it will be clear. Don't support him that much, and don't even think that you can, vote for him again. We want what the deep state in Israel is trying to do right now. And I want you to know that for all of us, the believers, whether you're in the United States, in Europe, whether you're in Australia and New Zealand, whether you're in Canada or other places, look, I know the Canadians are going through the same thing when they see their terrible prime minister, but at least there, he won the elections. Now, you can like him, you can hate him, but the people spoke. In Israel, my problem is that there's a coup here done by lawyers and prosecutors, and is not even through the ballots here. I'm saying let's go to elections. If he's losing, and by the way, he might lose now because of all you did to him, but if he's losing and you're winning, okay, that's fine. But don't dare think that you can take even the race from him before even the people speak. Now, I can tell you one thing. My biggest mistake, and I must admit I'm guilty in that one. I really, really forgot that this is not where I belong. I really forgot that this is not my home. I really forgot that this is not where my citizenship is. I really forgot that I have a better place, a better residence. I forgot that I need to seek those things which are above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of the Father, as Colossians 3 says. But I forgot to remind myself that the scriptures are telling me that this is going to characterize the end times. Israel as a nation is basically opening itself to accepting anyone, as long as it's not going to be Netanyahu. It will bring upon itself a great war, and then it will accept anyone who can fix it, who can fix the situation. I was about to use words such as the restraining power of God in the personalities of Netanyahu in Israel and President Trump in America. But then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not even sure this is the case. I'm just saying God graciously granted us such a man, and God graciously granted America such a man. And I know that in some other places, such as in Australia, it was a miracle also. But I can tell you we need, and I'm telling all of you, even in America, I'm telling you, do not put your trust in politicians. Do not put your trust in your parliament or Congress. Do not put your trust in your judicial system, in your military, in your secret service. Do not put your trust in the systems of this world. You are about to be disappointed. You know, we have to pray for these people, for our leaders. We have to pray that righteousness will prevail. We have to pray that our countries will not go even lower and deeper in terrible progressive mindset. But at the same time, and the Lord put it on my heart in such a vivid way in the last 24 hours. Amir, did you forget what your citizenship is all about? Do you really think that your nation here is going to get better and better when you know that it's only going to get worse? I mean, I can clearly see now how much suffering it is going to require for Israel to humble itself and to eventually accept Jesus as Messiah. I can understand now that the road is so long for all those prideful, arrogant liberals that think that Israel should be like all the other nations. When even Balaam realized that it's a nation that does not reckon itself to be like all the other nations. It's a nation that stands alone. It's a nation that God chose for a reason, for a season. And I'm telling you, I'm thinking to myself, Israel is going to be more and more liberal to the point that they will accept the Antichrist. And then they will become more and more religious to want to build a third temple. And in both ways, they're going to miss it. And then, of course, when he will show his true face, that's when they will understand their big mistake. And then they will be, of course, running away, and God will shelter them in the desert and for 3.5 years. And when Christ comes back, they will finally accept him, and they look at him whom they pierced. I'm thinking to myself, as much as I consider myself a Jew and an Israeli, more than ever before, I feel that I don't belong here anymore. That the systems of this country are no different than the systems of the rest of the world. Corrupt, deceitful, very, very deceptive also. And I guess my mistake was that I really put my trust in them for too long. And I want to encourage you all. I mean, this is not just exhortation. This is encouragement. We know the end of the story. We know where we're going. We know that it's very soon. We know that we're not destined to the wrath of God that is going to fall on this world. We know that we are out of the hour of trial that is about to happen here, even to Israel. We know that the tribulation is, of course, for Israel's salvation. It's called Jacob's trouble. I am sorry as an Israeli that my nation is going to go through that, but apparently with the way I see things going, it's the only way for them to humble themselves and to understand how wrong they are. At the moment, they are so prideful and arrogant to think that the good is bad and the bad is good, that the evil is good and good is evil. Look, I'm thinking about the verses from Isaiah. I'm thinking about how even Elijah the prophet, when he met Ahab, the evil one, called Elijah, "Oh, you, the troubler of Israel." That's the way I see it. I see how people come to the man who gave his whole life to this country, and I cannot believe that on that piece of paper it says the state of Israel against Benjamin Netanyahu, the leader of Israel. The one who gave his life, who fought for Israel, who was wounded in a battle, who lost his brother for this country, who serves this country relentlessly for the longest time. And there is a paper, and he didn't give money to anyone, he didn't murder anyone, he didn't steal anything from anyone. And there is he receives cigars and champagne. I mean, God, is that such a bad thing? And watch this. The paper says the state of Israel against Benjamin Netanyahu. That broke my heart when I saw that. And I thought to myself, he's a strong man. He's going to fight it. I don't know if I could fight those things, but thankfully I'm not a politician. I don't even like that world. It's a horrible world. But I like the world I'm in, a world where I know that my Redeemer lives. A world where I know where I'm going to. A world that I know that He prepared a place for me, and He said that He's about to come back and receive me unto Himself. So where He is, I will also be. As much as I'm ashamed of my own country and disappointed with the systems of my own country, I am proud of my Redeemer. I am happy and rejoicing in the joy of my salvation. And I want to encourage all of you, and I'm warning also all of you, listen, we need to remember our citizenship. We need to remember who we need to trust. He who promised is faithful. Our systems are not faithful. Our politicians are not faithful. Our judicial system, even our military has its own, unfortunately, deep state, corrupted people. Whistleblowers supposedly, but all they are is actually liars and deceivers. I want to tell you folks, that which Benjamin Netanyahu is going through right now, I'm heartbroken for that, but I have to unhinge myself from all of that. And I have to remind myself that I'm a citizen of the heavenlies, that this is not my home. And I have to pray for him, but remember that as far as I can see in the scriptures, things are not going to get better, but are only going to get worse. So this was a reality checkup for me. This is for me, it was a wake-up call. And maybe I can contribute a little bit with this broadcast to all of you to have this wake-up call. We really need to have that wake-up call. Yeah, we need to vote for righteousness. We need to vote for family values. We need to vote for pro-life and pro-family and pro-Israel. But do not be heartbroken and devastated if it's not going to work, because we know how things are going. And you have to remember that until He comes, we have to occupy And until he comes, we have to tell people about Jesus. And until he comes, we have to do our Father's business. And it's not necessarily to restore justice and kingdom now here. It's actually not the case. The Bible tells us that this world is only going to get worse and worse and worse. And when it happens before us, we should not be so surprised. We should not be happy about it, but at least we should know that he told us it's going to happen. He warned us it's going to happen because he loves us. And he's telling us, your hope is not in these things. If indeed you were raised with Christ, then seek those things which are above, where Christ is, sitting at the right hand of the Father. Seek those things which are above and not the things which are on this earth. So, looking all around me, yes, I'm disappointed. Yes, I'm heartbroken. But, unlike others, I am saved. I have the joy of my salvation that cannot be taken from me. I have hope. I have a place prepared for me. And I have a promise that is coming to take me. And as I said, he who promised is faithful. So I'm thankful that there are so many of you that are willing to listen to this. And I'm also hopeful that this message, although it's a little on the negative side, will also encourage you and your family members to really seek those things which are above and to remember that our hope is not in this world, and to remember that our Redeemer lives. He already won. He's already defeated death, and as real as he was and he is now, he will be when he comes to take us. And I'm just, every day I take people around my country, and every day I'm reminded of the truth of the gospel, of the reality of the gospel. This country, Israel, is the fifth gospel. I mean, there's 4 written gospels, and there is the land itself that speaks for itself. And so I'm super blessed to be living here and being able to show this country. And I will work hard to unhinge myself in the next few weeks from the political mess. I'm going to pray for my prime minister, but I will put my hope not in anything that is, here, because I have no expectations. I have no hope. I have nothing good to say about the systems of this world. But I have everything good to say about my Father which is in heaven. So thank you for listening. I want to tell you folks that the situation in Iran and Iraq and Lebanon is so fragile. Look, in Iraq there are hundreds of thousands of protesters right now in the Tahrir Square in Baghdad. In Iran, the number of fatalities passed 300 already, and the internet is shut down. There's about 22% that is turned up, but it's only in government offices and universities, not in people, private homes. And that's in Lebanon also, protesters all over all the time. Folks, I want to tell you, things are very fragile, and we understand also now that the damage that Israel caused to the Iranian regime in Syria in the latest attack a few days ago was amazing. We destroyed their control center that was situated in what was known as the glass building in the airport of Damascus, attached to the control tower, and destroyed. And they are not happy about it, and they might try to somehow retaliate, and they might try to take advantage of the suddenly says that the relationship with Israel is in its lowest point right now, and he says that because he is in the hot spot right now. People demonstrate and protest against him, and as always, the best way to divert the attention of your people from your own shortcomings is to divert them against Israel. But I want to tell you folks, I am more than happy that the God of Israel, the Messiah of Israel, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, is about to come soon and take me out of here. And that's it. So I'm happy. I'm very, I will continue to bring people to this country. I will continue to show them around. I will no longer be proud of my judicial system or political system. I will probably not be so, but I will tell you, every country around the world is going to go the same thing. Every system of this world is doomed to fail because it's corrupt from its core. Unfortunately, less and less leaders that are doing good will remain in this world. And that will, of course, prepare the stage for the Antichrist to rise and to give hope to people. And we are not going to be here to see it, because the restrainer has to be removed for the Antichrist to step in. That's all I had to say. Let's pray and finish in a positive note this update. So, Yevarechecha Adonai veishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance towards you and give you peace. The peace that we all need in these chaotic times. It's the peace that can come only from the Prince of Peace, who is the Lord of Peace. And he can give us that peace now and forever, here and everywhere. And his name is Yeshua, Jesus, and in his name we pray. Amen. So may the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard your heart, will encourage you, and lift you up in these dark, dark days. Thank you. God bless you. Pray for me. This coming weekend, I will be in the Netherlands. Not now, of course, about a week from now. I will be in the Netherlands in the Eurospirit conference. There's some security challenges for both the organizers and myself. Pray for everything to go smoothly. Pray for no weapon that is formed against us to prosper. And also pray for my friend from Israel. Pray for the messages to be clear and anointed. And pray for my family, my team and their families all around the world. Thank you again. And shalom from Israel, from the Sea of Galilee.